Right. Smiletime says I'm live, and if I refresh my page, I'm going to reload the page. And yes, I am live again. Right. Okay. Now, guys, thank you for waiting around. It just froze. I mean, I've been happily talking away for the last 10 minutes or so, and nothing's been happening, and all my words have just vanished into thin air. If you are watching at the moment, my apologies for that. I think we're suffering a Smiletime timeout. And I'm going to try again to see if the camera setup has improved. Trying to get Corinda in. If you are here, if you could just tell me the last bit you heard, then I'll attempt to rewind myself and go through it all again. Because you didn't hear it. I said it. I practiced. So that was a practice. And right, okay. Morning, Robert. This is attempt number 2. Number 1 ended in well, not saying disaster, but it didn't go perfectly right. And hello, Kevin. I'm back. You can't keep me away from this. And thank you for everybody for your patience. And David's saying, do I need a mentor? I could well need a mentor. I could well need a mentor. Yes, that would be a good idea. Do you know of any? If there are any mentors around, could they please step into the breach and do that? So thank you, Robert. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, David. Right. And you just heard me. All right. Okay. So, okay. Well, everybody else can. Corinda is saying you can just see 5 dots. I had it confirmed by Robert and Kevin and Tish that I'm actually back live. And Kevin's been very kind here. British sense of humour. We need it at the moment. We do need a sense of humour. Do I need a mentor or mental? I'm not sure. When live video goes wrong, you sort of got to carry on, and hopefully we're doing that. But if anybody wants to join me on screen, and Corinda's confirming it's okay on Facebook. So that's good. So what do you do when things, I'm going to say something in English there. And hello, John. Right. Okay. Good day. And good day, everybody. And Kevin's saying I'm still in the Blabbing for Britain group. Right. Okay. I'm in the Blabbing for Britain group Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Oh, sorry, 10 a.m. BST, because I use Lively to share out the video so that as soon as I go live, it goes live on LVS17 page and group. It goes live on my profile. It goes live in Blabbing for Britain, and it goes live in several other places. And okay, and hello, Alex. And guessing Corinda has a bad connection. I think that's quite possible. And another message from Alex Kruglov, the CEO, is there are technical difficulties. Stand by. I'm standing by. I'm going to carry on blabbing for Britain. And thank you for sorting things out so quickly. One of the things that we tend to forget, because Smiletime make this ridiculously easy to do, in that you come on screen, your camera comes on screen automatically, and then you just press the go live button, tell it where you want to go live, and you can go live, and then you can have 4 people on screen. I'm just about to invite my second person again, which will be Corinda. But behind all this is a big black box, some of which, okay, and Kevin's going to make a point here, which I'm aware of, but I'm going to address it. Okay, just let me change the screen layout. Okay, there is one disadvantage to going live in so many places. And just thank you to Corinda for emailing Smiletime, and to Alex for and team for actually sorting this out for us. Right, okay. There is a disadvantage, Kevin, and that is that I cannot respond to comments unless they're made on the LVS17 page. Would that be the one you're thinking of, or are you thinking of something else? So if you go live to several different places on Facebook, then at least you contain within Facebook. I'm not going out to YouTube or Twitter or Periscope. I'm just going out to Facebook Live using Smiletime. I'm using my C920 camera, no bag of tricks, and that's Kevin's explanation concurs with what I just said. You can't see the comments in Facebook from other pages, depending on where people are watching and commenting. So, which is, and great point from Alex, but you can see them on Smiletime. If you want, there's a link up above. If you click it, it says Smiletime channel for LVS17. You can click it and come and join us in here. But there is just to go back to Kevin's point, you can't react live to comments because you can't see them. I can see the comments coming through if they post on the LVS17 page, which is what yourself and Corinda are doing. Alex is in the room and commenting here, and yes, you're not on Smiletime. We can tell you're not on Smiletime because you've got the Facebook logo bottom right hand corner. So we know that. Yeah, I mean that's and I just want to agree with something that Corinda said, and it said, Alex, you're the best. So we're all agreed on that. And a personal invitation, Kevin, from the CEO of Smiletime, Alex Kruglov, to actually join us here and experience Smiletime from the inside. And that goes for anybody. The link to join me, if you want to just come in for a chat, is just press the link up above, and you're more than welcome to come in. Today, David's on the road, so I'm flying solo and winging it and busking it, as we would say in the UK, because I had a mini script. Right, okay, brilliant. So I'm going to take those off the screen, and thank you everybody for your comments. I'm going to change the layout to that, so that I'm on this side, and hopefully on the other side. Hello.
Hey, how are we doing?
Okay, I'm good now. I'm good. I mean, basically, I take your point that going out live to several places, it does have complications, but you can always go back afterwards.
Yeah, I think the only thing for me is that it's great for the presenter because you see all the comments, and it's great for the exposure because you go out in lots of different groups. It's not so good for the people that are commenting because a comment comes up on screen, but it's not showing in your Facebook feed.
Yep.
So it's a bit disconnected in that way. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the aim in an ideal world would be for everybody to go to just one point.
Absolutely.
But we come back to actually building an audience and playing for the replay. So basically, if you are in several places, then people are going to catch the replay. More people will see the replay than actually see the live. So anybody visiting LVS17 or Blubbing for Britain or my personal profile or business page will be able to catch the replay. I mean, down the road, you could say that if you build up your business page, then you don't need to share it. Yeah?
But you know what I'm like? I like chatting in the sidebar to people. You know, because for me that's a big part of live shows is that there's other people there, and you can have comments and side chats going on as well as the presentation stuff going on. You know, so we had this with Blad, didn't we? Remember there was issues, and the other one. What was the other one against Blad? Where you couldn't comment.
Talk.
Yeah, it was some of them you couldn't comment to each other, and it was that's a bit frustrating. Okay. But no, this is cool. I like this. I'm glad you've come back on here. It seems to be working okay.
It does now. And I'd like to say hello to Jacqueline and Robert, just catching up on the messages.
I have to say something as well. Just as we're talking live stream stuff,
Yeah.
I bought ManyCam the other day.
Oh, good. Yep.
And my initial reaction was I'm really disappointed. I bought the up level, not the very top one, but not the $1 one, but the one up.
Yeah, the 4 screens.
Yeah. Where you could do your own branding, you take their logo off, all that stuff. And I couldn't get the camera to connect to Facebook Live. That was my first issue. So I had to shut the whole thing down, come in again. And then I couldn't get the microphone to work. It just had this whirring noise.
Yeah.
Which I've not resolved yet. I still can't go live with ManyCam because the whole point was for me to share my desktop.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
That was the only point that I wanted it for. And I've still not managed to do that. However, I have seen as of 2 days ago that they've put an update out.
Okay.
There's a new beta version of ManyCam that's been released. So I've installed that, but I've not yet tried it. So I hope they get it sorted because it's an awesome bit of kit.
Oh, it is. It's pretty darn good once you've got it sorted and get your mic. You've got it as microphones go. You've got to add your microphone every time in the bottom panel.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
I did that, and I had to keep shutting it because it works on it opens up as almost as an app on your desktop, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So even when you close it, it's still active.
It is, yeah.
So I found that the only way that I could get actually it to connect to Facebook was by actually coming out, shutting it down, and then going into the taskbar at the bottom, right-clicking that, exiting it that way.
Yep.
And then reloading the whole thing. But the new version, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, has a completely different layout.
Oh, right, okay. No, I have to do that. I've been deep in other things, so I'll check that out.
It's much simpler.
Right, well, I'm all for that.
It was like this massive dashboard of, it was like an aircraft with all these bits here, there, and everywhere, wasn't it? It was like all over the place. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. But confusing. But nowadays, a lot of it's along the bottom of the screen, so which works quite nicely. So your actual working screen where you're doing your bit is bigger. So that works really quite well, I think.
All right, and a hint from David here is if you're on a Mac, try out eCam. Well, I'm on the Mac, but eCam from David, and just catching up, and let's go backwards because we've got quite a lot of comments, and I'm trying to do what Alex suggested we do, and that's engage the audience. So, okay, and message from Alex to David: when driving, don't type. Talking's okay. Now, we did a program earlier in the year which was don't stream and drive. If you're in the passenger seat, David, go for it. If you're not, think twice. And the chats are just whirring around now, and a question from Corinda, Kevin, which you can take. Do you use Wirecast?
No, I've still yet, and I'm really struggling with this, and I don't know why, but I've yet to work out effectively how I can connect onto YouTube Live, because you've got to use an external thing. Now, I did download something, but it's not simple. And even ManyCam, it says, well, we recommend this, this, and this as a third-party software to connect it into YouTube, but YouTube ain't making it easy.
Oh no! It's not. It's not. It can be done though. It can be done. And a tip from Alex: add topic of discussion on screen. In my defence, Alex, this is my second show in the last hour. My first show did have topics every 2 minutes, and my captions was full. But this is impromptu because Kevin's joined me, and we're just talking about whatever people comment about. And okay, so thank you for the tips, and yeah. Just going back through the, make sure we've not missed anything. Right. And we are, Alex, trying to engage the audience. We're doing our best. We're doing our best by talking about our experiences with certain types of software and how sometimes you need a pilot's license, and with some, and with others you don't. And I'm just going to, more chats coming in. Yeah, okay, all good. Right, okay. Well, I was sure in the first half hour I was actually talking to myself or not.
I get that at home.
I know. That's basically it. I mean, I agree with Alex on this impromptu prepare stuff you can do live to tape. Yeah, you can.
Is Alex the Smiletime guy?
He is, yes.
Oh,
yep.
Is it his software, is it?
Yep.
Ah, Alex, you should be on here then, talking to us.
No sooner said than invited. We've got to bear it out. Right, okay, we're doing good. I'm going to change the layout again. I'm going to put myself over here and bring Alex up on the screen. So Alex, as soon as you come on camera, I'll switch out. Can you still see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Right, okay. Hello, long time no see.
Can't hear you.
Right, okay. So I'll invite Alex back in a minute.
That's the thing with some of these, and I did one of these the other day where I was talking to myself for 10 minutes with no sound. And then somebody messaged me and said, by the way, there's no sound. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Right, anyway, sorry. Good morning, Alex, because it's just heading towards 9 o'clock with you, isn't it?
Alex, you can swear because we can't hear you. For any lip readers that are watching this, just cover Alex's mouth. You'll be fine.
All right, and there is still no sound, so okay, and let's go back and wait for Alex to return. Change the layout again. I mean, that's the joy of it.
Cool. Now Stephen seems to have gone.
Am I back now?
Oh, there you're back. Maybe jump.
Right. Okay. When I switch myself, sorry about that. When I switch myself to go into Alex's spot, I'm back again.
Yeah, the screen's flickering. I don't know if you can see that.
I'm going to change the layout again and
There's
go
a picture of Alex there, and it's flickering on and off. Oh, yeah. It's not doing it now.
Can you see me okay now? Yeah, sorry about that. I don't do a good enough job of prophylactically working on my laptop, so my apologies for that. So I'm restarting that now, and I just jumped on my phone. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm using it right now, and the app is really designed to work really, really fluidly with anybody who is where you're trying to create something that's quick and fast and on the go. So as a guest, it's actually much more convenient than the desktop app because there's fewer things that could go wrong. So I could receive a phone call which would potentially interrupt this if I pick it up. But otherwise, unlike the browser where there's all kinds of stuff that can happen, as you know, you can have issues with your camera, with your microphone, with other apps, other things that are running that are that interfere with live video. That's never the case on the app. When you're a creator, there are fewer options. So, for example, you cannot change the layout, but everything is a tap. So there's also fewer ways to mess up. So it's just you tap, 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 and that's a way that you can invite guests. That's a way that you can add comments. You can do all kinds of stuff. So the app is getting, what we're seeing is that people are using the app more frequently. So they, on average, a user will use the app about 9 times a week, 9 or 10 times a week, whereas the browser is more like 6 times a week. But we're also seeing that the sessions are a little shorter on the app because you're walking around, you're on the go, and when you're done talking, you're done talking. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a problem. So some people have an unlimited data plan, others don't, and you got to watch out for that, of course. We try to do our best to use the kind of the video size to make it so that it's not a massive amount of data, but it's definitely an issue for those people who don't have unlimited data. It also uses battery power. So if you're live for 40 minutes, you definitely got to be careful. It's just how it goes, as I'm sure you can appreciate. And we're actually going to be launching something new today or tomorrow, which I'm excited to share with you guys. So look out for that. Something very different. Yeah, I can give you. It's an experiment, so it may not work, and so we'll see kind of how you guys all feel about it. But it's an environment that's not a show like this where you start and end, and instead it's just about being always on. So it's an environment that's kind of 24/7. You can go in and join anytime. So it's much more. It feels much more like a chat room than a show with a beginning, middle, and an end. And then you'll also see a few other things on screen that a lot of you have been asking for, which I won't say yet, but I think you'll be pleased when you see it. That's the idea. And the other thing is that you want to look and see how people are actually using your product. So, hopefully all of us have the humility to kind of know that what you designed it for and what it's being used for are not necessarily one and the same. And so you need to listen to your audience and embrace what they're telling you. And so we're trying to do that. We're trying to kind of say, okay, what are people actually using this product for? So the motivation for the thing I'm talking about, and again, you'll see the execution. We'll definitely follow up by email and other announcements with you when it's ready. And it's just an experiment. But the motivation is that a lot of people are spending time in these rooms and in these shows without actually going live. So we've looked at the time that people spend in our app and in our website, and we've realized that more than half the time that people are there, they're not actually going live. They're exploring other things. And so we just kind of want to embrace that and say, hey, let's make this a more casual experience where it's not about pressing the button, go live, but instead about participating in a forum, kind of like what you guys do on Facebook and blabbing for live stream insiders and stuff like that. Well, why not just do that here and have it be an open forum all the time? Right, right, right. Right, right, right. Yes. Well, and yeah, look, that's the unfortunate reality of technology, and also funding. Sometimes you just run out of money, or you run out of resources, or it's not the right set of options. So it's one of those things where you have massive companies like Google and Facebook, where they're not going to go away, but they might get rid of features too, right? If the feature is not working or it's not interesting to them, they might just get rid of it. And so that the early adopter curse, and all of you guys are early adopters, is that's just kind of the reality. That's why you're on the forefront. Now, the flip side of that is, if you're early on a platform that ends up becoming a thing, then you all of a sudden you've gotten a competitive advantage over others. So that's kind of the trick. And I can't promise anything beyond, and I think, Stephen, you've been around for a while using our platform. You know that we are honest and direct with our audience. We share details, including bad news, in real time. And if things are working, then that's wonderful. And if things are not working, you'll be the first to find out. So I can't promise anything beyond that, but I'm incredibly grateful for all of you being around and using our platform. It's the least I can do. If I'm not using my own product, then what kind of founder am I? Yeah, so since you guys, so this is another issue with the browser. So this is the problem that we talked about before, which is that the browser has too many variables that are difficult to control. So what I recommend is that both Kevin and Steven, not at the same time, but within seconds of each other, please do shift refresh. What happens is he's frozen for a little while, then he'll come back as a video feed to you and me, Stephen. When he comes back, why don't you do a shift refresh? What's most likely happening is that one of your connections is failing in some capacity. Okay, welcome back, Kevin. Stephen, why don't you do the same, and let's find out from the audience if this is working now. So what's happening, Kevin, is that Stephen's video is frozen for a little while, and then he should come back as soon as his browser refreshes.
Oh, okay.
So this is the problem. This is another one of those problems with browsers that I mentioned before. There are too many variables that have nothing to do with the platform and that are kind of outside of our control. So let's find out from the crowd, from the audience. There's a short delay, as you know. Yep. Let's find out from them if they can now see all three of us.
Donna Marie, can you hear myself, Kevin, and Alex? This is Smiletime calling Donna Marie. If you can hear us, then please just say yes. And
so that was mining.
Yeah. How about now? No, I think the live chat room, which is, as you say, Smiletime exists in its own right. It doesn't need to go out to Facebook. The live chat room,
that's
where
the idea,
people
because it's not a show, right? When you want to do something deliberate, of course you should be sharing on Facebook, and we have an integration with YouTube that we have built that we intend to roll out at some point as well. The reason we don't roll those out is for the exact reason that Kevin mentioned, which I thought was brilliant. Kevin, thank you for pointing that out. If you are broadcasting live, the way I think about it is, and this is not I'm not the one who sort of coined this terminology, but there's a terminology out there that a guy named Matthew Ball wrote, where he writes about live for a reason, quote unquote. And the live for a reason idea is, why am I watching something live as opposed to a recorded version of it? And I think Stephen's answer to that was, well, we're making it live, but then people can watch a recorded version of it later on, right? Which is fine. That's a live to tape argument. That's what podcasts do, and so on. But my take is, and the reason we exist is because we think that you can create an experience rather than just a show, a place for people to connect and engage in a way that you could not do on video otherwise. And so, what we're trying to do is multiple experiments to sort of indicate, and we'll do others that are distinct from the one that I just described, to sort of say, okay, is this a better experience for those who are in it? So I would argue, Kevin, Stephen, that this three-way conversation is much better than watching somebody talk, right? And so now it's better for the three of us. The question is it better for those who are watching on Facebook or here? Those are kind of things that you need to constantly keep pushing from an experimental standpoint. But this experience is what we're trying to sort of aim for. And it's not the same as a conference call because I don't know you two. I don't have your phone numbers. You're not my personal friends, right? This is about strangers connecting with strangers, but over a topic that delights all three of us. So that's what we're trying to kind of play and push for a lot more, hopefully, than others are who are more about, broadcasting yourself to the whole world. And we're fine with that. Obviously, as you know, you can do that here, and you can do it really well, and you can do it at scale. But we're trying to sort of really push the idea of connection much more than others are.
Right. I did have a question which I'll come back to when I remember it. But my next question is: how many people can the room support?
We've had as many as 250,000 in this room.
Wow.
Sorry. You're talking about the new thing. The new thing is it's exactly the same. So the specs haven't changed as far as audience size. You'll see some other changes as far as the stuff on screen that you like, but it's not the issue that you guys have seen, and this is where we have a technology that we've built that is unique to us, which is the ability to have X screens on X feeds on screen and unlimited audience at once. Right. So I don't believe that others can do that.
Well, certainly, I don't know of anybody. I know people who are building systems, but not with the level of expertise that you have at your fingertips and with the team.
That's kind of so
I'm not going to mention. Well, it's true. It's true. I mean, we've been involved with Smiletime since you launched to the public, and it's been a pleasure using the platform. And we know that occasionally there are going to be glitches, but that's the occasion.
There will be. And I promise you there'll be more. Hey, look at that. Dave is not driving any longer.
I think it's fascinating the way that all of these platforms have their own objective.
Yes, they do. And they're all different, right?
And I like that because I think that's what will make you independent and you will grow such a really good, loyal following because of it's almost a mission statement. Yeah? This is what we want to achieve with our people in our system rather than, it's just a portal to get into Facebook. Well, loads of them do that, but not loads of them have the same vision as you. So I think it's important and interesting.
Yeah, well,
right. Now, one of the joys of Smiletime.
I think that's exactly right. I think that's exactly how we think about it. In fact, sorry, Steve.
Sorry, Alex. Carry on.
What I was going to say is we don't even like to think of ourselves as a live streaming app. Obviously, we, if you want to reduce us, we are. But we think that live streaming for us is a means to an end. For us, live is about connecting with like-minded individuals. And to do so at scale, the fact that it's live streaming or that it's simulcasting to places like Facebook is a feature. We don't think of that as the headline, right? So, that's kind of that's where again it's up to you guys to decide whether in fact that's what you want to use us for. But we are trying to sort of differentiate on that dimension.
Sorry,
Corinda, carry on.
By the way, Stephen, I think part of the reason the quality has gone down a little bit is that Corinder's feed is not as strong in terms of his connection as others. And what that does, because it's creating a video connection with all four of us, is it lowers the quality of the overall broadcast. I just want to I'm not saying do anything about it. I'm just trying to explain technically why things are happening the way they are. So that is always going to be a challenge in a multi-party video experience.
Yeah. Now, by the magic of Smiletime, what I'm going to do is, because I can produce the show, I don't have to be in it, I'm going to take a back seat while I bring in our good friend, David.
I like
you
that.
can take me
That's a good
out, Stephen. If you need a slot, take me out. That's fine.
Yeah, Kevin is having some. I'm having issues with Kevin's connectivity a little bit as well.
Okay, Kevin. You're back
Hey,
now,
David.
David. Sorry.
I was saying, Alex, I lost you until Stephen brought me on.
Yeah,
Like,
again,
as I came in the queue, all I got was your picture. Didn't hear anything, and then
the multi-party video broadcast is only as good as the weakest link from a connection standpoint. And so if you have a weak connection, the way to fix it on a browser is to do a refresh or kick them off. That's unfortunately the challenge of kind of how these things go. And Stephen, you saw that, right? When we did a refresh, the issue was fixed for the audience. So this is a problem that doesn't happen on the phone. It does happen in the browser because they're just variables that are difficult to control because who knows what else you guys are doing on your browser. Corinder might have had a Netflix movie that was playing in the background. These are all things that are a little bit more difficult to control. Not sort of whining about it. These are just the realities that we're constantly facing. And candidly, we've invested probably way too many resources to deal with with these kinds of things, and we're still not perfect by any stretch.
All right. David, did you hear what Alex said earlier about the upcoming changes? Would you like to go through them again, please, Alex, just for the audience who've just joined?
Well, I'm not going to make a formal announcement here. I'm just going to hint at it, and we're gonna send you guys some real information in real time. But basically, what we're going to launch sometime in the coming hours is essentially an always-on environment where instead of a show-based ecosystem that we're in the middle of right now, where Stephen chose to go live and create a show that has a beginning and an end. This is more of a 24/7 room where anybody can join anytime and participate. Much more of a chat room, a live video chat room than a show per se. So there's a lot more to it, and then there's some stuff that you'll see on screen that will surprise you, hopefully in a positive way, given what you guys have been asking for. But it should be coming today or tomorrow.
First thoughts, David?
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Just an experiment.
About what you're talking about always on, and I mean, if someone comes in my channel, they can always be on camera. Not
your channel.
Oh, not my channel.
Yeah, this is a public thing. And it's just there, and it's a place. It's where anybody can come in, and anybody. So it's not about it's not a place of control. So a show is a place of control. So when it's David's show or Stephen's show, Stephen and David are in control. Right. This is a place of that's a little bit more of a free for all. That's much more like an old school IRC or chat room, except with video, than a show with the types of controls that you're used to. And something that there's no such thing as offline or online.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
But you'll see.
Intriguing.
We'll see. What we found, David, this is what I was saying before, is that we've been looking at the data, and it turns out that about half the time that users spend on our platform, they do not live. So they're exploring, they're chatting with each other, they're doing offline conversations. And the pressing the button of go live requires a specific personality type and intent type. And so, what we're looking at is, well, if you create an environment that's a lot more casual and that's more of a pop in anytime and have whatever conversation you want anytime, and then eventually you do a lot more with it, but that's what we're kind of starting with. Does that create the kind of engagement that some folks are looking for that we're not currently providing? So, or we're providing, but only in an offline ecosystem. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, the figures are fascinating. The fact that so many people don't actually go live.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are not the people who are on camera right now are an exception. You're not the rule. The majority of people don't have the kind of the gravitas and the wherewithal to be like, I'm just going to broadcast myself right now. Or they're not willing to put themselves out there as much, right? Which is, I'm going to broadcast myself. I hope people will show up, and then I'm going to talk to them about whatever. Some people are just, they're introverted, or they're just not the broadcast types. And we want to accommodate, it's not that we want to accommodate everybody, but there's latent demand out there that we're kind of trying to serve.
Alex, so I've got a question that is kind of brought up from your analytics that you guys are looking at. And I don't find it surprising that a lot of people just kind of tool around and watch and everything. And this is going back to the platform that shall not be named, that's no longer in existence. But there was a lot of participation that was on there. Now, there was a lot of stuff that popped up and didn't, and then there was a lot of fluff and crap.
Mm-hmm.
And when that imploded and went away, a lot of people went towards Fire Talk first, and then they went and imploded themselves, or Huzza. But then after that, because people seem to be I'm just wondering, are you seeing a lot of, I'm wondering where all those people went. Not all of them are using other things like BeLive.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which, I mean, honestly, would probably be the other top-ranked thing. I mean, some people found Crowdcast, but that kind of really died out for, I would say, 99%. And the same thing with, what was the other one, Stephen? Blue Jeans.
Blue Jeans, yeah.
Which ended up being, a video conferencing platform that gave you the ability to broadcast it out to Facebook if you want. I mean, everybody was really excited about that until they saw cost. And this is free. And I'm just wondering, are you hearing back, or have you surveyed out, as to where those people went, or why aren't they using a platform like Smiletime? Because, everything's pretty much here. It was originally in the platform that shall not be named. And then they added in little frilly stuff like screen share and YouTube videos and all these other little things, which, I mean, that was where things started to break. But I'm just wondering why they're not utilizing this. I mean, is it a lack of understanding now? And I'll say, I had somebody, and I need to reach out to him. So I used to be a part of a Sunday football discussion before the games. And this was on the other platform that shall not be named. And so the guy, this radio personality that was probably, the most broadcast friendly out of all of us at that time, he reached out to me the other day, and he was asking about Smiletime. He had never heard about it. Now, I know I've talked about it. I know I've mentioned it, and I know I've brought people over. I'm just wondering if there's a lack of awareness that's going on, and what you all are either doing, or do you need help in doing something of that nature?
Can you hear me, David? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. For some reason, I look
frozen.
I look frozen on your screen.
Now you're gone, and I can't hear you.
Right. Okay. Well, while Alex refreshes and comes back, we've always said that this is, in actual fact, Smiletime having their own platform is something that wasn't being totally used by anybody. But we're wrong, because we're the tip of the iceberg.
Yep.
It would appear that.
I mean, I like that people are coming here. But there was an almost organic growth factor on Blab.
Platform
that shall not be named. And I'm just wondering if it was because of the newness that was around. I mean, I know a lot of people went to Wikiki. Yes, I know that they built that platform, and I've used it. And I think that they've done a bang up job with what they had. I haven't been back in a while, and that's because it began reminding me of Blab After Dark, which is dangerous.
Hey there.
I find it interesting that because my live broadcasting has dwindled a bit, but that's not because of here or there. That's just because of other things. Before, I know that I wasn't getting as much organic, so I know it's not, and I know it's not as well known because every time I mention it, people are like, "Never heard of it."
Hey, can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah, we can.
And see you.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's
So,
okay.
there's a number of questions there, and also Donna Marie asked a really thoughtful, long question. Let me answer yours first, David, and then I want to respond to Donna Marie. So, I think in general, the ecosystem that you're referring to are kind of a group of early adopters that really have sort of jumped onto the live streaming promise. And this is kind of a second wave of early adopters. The first wave was the Ustream, Livestream, Justin TV folks. And then Blab, which you're referring to, the unnamed platform, has sort of brought a number of others that was kind of happening in parallel to Meerkat and Periscope, which were more mobile focused as opposed to desktop focused.
Right.
For us, so we have never spent a penny on marketing, and this is very intentional because for us, we want to be thoughtful about who are we appealing to, who are we talking to, and where is there meaningful engagement that's happening community wide. And as you can see, we're constantly trying new things and pushing new environments to sort of see where things are working, where things are not working. So the community that you're referring to, the kind of live streaming community, I think for them, and by no means am I trying to kind of put words in their mouths or say things that are not necessarily true, but our goal is not necessarily identical to somebody just refreshed. Can you guys see me still okay? See me
Yeah,
and
we
hear
can
me
see
okay?
you.
Yep,
Okay.
see and hear you.
To the expectations of that community. For example, when you compare us to Be Live or some of these kind of more, and David, you've talked about this at length, tool-based ecosystem, which is like, here's a good way to go to Facebook. It really doesn't make sense. Like that is not, I mean, it makes sense for some users, but that's really not the intent of what Smiletime is designed for. Like, so you see tutorials, hey, Smiletime versus Be Live, or Huzza versus Smiletime, or whatever else. And I have a ton of respect for those platforms, but they're just not they're not trying to do the same thing we're trying to do.
Right.
And so for us, the thing you were referring to, the football Sunday talk, is much more the kind of thing that Smiletime is trying to build than a kind of a really good live streaming solution. So live streaming to us is a means to an end. It's not the thing we're trying to do. For us, live video, we think, is the most effective and human tool for people to connect with each other than actually physically being together in the same place. So I think of us in the long run as being an alternative to meetup.com, where instead of doing a meetup, you end up sort of getting together on Smiletime. And sometimes it's a small group like this one, 8, 10, 12 people. And sometimes it's a very large thing that feels much more like Comic-Con. Now, we are not there yet. We haven't actually built the set of tools to make that happen in a really simple, organic way. And so for now, the challenge that you're referring to is that to some extent, we are further along in a different sort of dimension than the obvious live streaming solutions that a lot of the folks that you're referring to are using. But we're not quite there yet for like a casual fan of The Bachelor to want to hang out with other casual fans of The Bachelor, because the technology is still too new and too different. And so as we're sitting in this kind of fork in the road, we're definitely investing aggressively in strangers connecting with strangers over shared passions. That's kind of the thing that we're trying to go after. And all these, and then this other things that you mentioned is more of a set of tools that we're providing as a way to execute against that. So you'll definitely be seeing a lot more, and I think hopefully you're starting to notice it recently, a lot more not sort of technically savvy, not hardcore live streaming adopters, but instead people who are just into stuff. Hopefully you're going to be seeing a lot more of that kind of engagement on our platform, rather than the more expected sort of early adopter live streaming environment. Does that make sense, or am I just sort of being a little bit
perfect
too
sense? And I appreciate, and I can't speak for Stephen, but I will. I think you make perfect sense to both of us, and we both appreciate it. And I've got, a list of other things that I could sit there and come up with as to why, some of those people have, not come over to something like Smiletime when they were so happy with a platform like like blab at the time.
So the thing that I'm referring to, the thing that we're going to roll out in later today or tomorrow, it's funny because I think it will actually that very first iteration will actually appeal the most to the community that you're referring to, and hopefully you guys will really like it. And if nothing else, it can just be a forum that is a more live way of engaging than on in a group or a chat room that you have elsewhere. But I also want to talk to Donna Marie. Donna Marie asked the question of, don't you want control and tools to enable sort of the creator to control who comes in, when, and how? And Donna Marie, the answer to that is we already have that. That's what we're using right now. So this is a very, very controlled environment. So the Smiletime show, which is what this is a place where Steven, I believe, Steven, you're the creator here. Steven has full 100% control of everything that happens here. Steven decides what's on camera. Steven decides what chat is brought onto the screen. Steven decides whether he's sharing this to Facebook Live or not. All of it is within Steven's domain. We're just trying to create something that's an alternative, that's a little bit more casual, a little bit more chaotic, a little bit more democratic, and a little bit more of a free-for-all. And that's not the be-all, end-all. It's a tool for us to experiment. In fact, you'll see that it's going to be branded very aggressively as an experiment, and it's a tool for us to say, okay, what kind of behavior does this unlock? And then we decide, what kind of other tools we roll out and what other tools we don't roll out. And Donna, the Smiletime team is very, very easy. You ask, how do you get a hold of us? We're very, very easy to get a hold of. All of us have the email address, firstname@smiletime.com. And we also have catch-all email addresses like creators@smiletime.com to reach out to. And hopefully everyone here will attest to the fact that we're quite responsive.
And
Indeed.
They are very much. They're very. Yeah. That is one of the saving graces of Smiletime. I can tell you.
Saving graces. But by the way, I have a question for you, David. And actually, not just you're. I think you'll be able to answer my question simply. But Steven, so there's a guy named Jefferson Graham. Jefferson Graham is the official technology reporter for USA Today.
Yep.
When he's not hanging out with us, he's hanging out with Tim Cook and with Travis Kalanick and people like that. And he does a show every Monday called Talking Tech, where he literally wants to talk to you all about technology. But none of you do. It's funny. Like, you guys all go in there and you chat and you watch the show, but then none of you gets on camera, which is really surprising to me. It's like, wouldn't you want to have a conversation with kind of the utmost expert on this stuff? It's kind of interesting to me.
I don't think I've been able to actually catch going on live at the set or going into his room when he's actually live. I usually catch it afterwards, and I think it's because of when he's broadcasting versus what I've had going on.
It's at 8 Eastern on Mondays.
Yeah, and so that's
Steven's probably asleep.
Yeah, 4 a.m. in the morning here.
Yeah, he's passed out. And for me, because school's now out and gym schedule's changed and various different things now because school's out, I may actually be able, because I've been interested in doing it. I talked with a couple years ago. I had met up with somebody that worked for USA Today and was in part of the technology department or technology reporter and everything. So I'm familiar with Jefferson Graham.
He's been there a long time,
yeah, and from a couple other, from doing some pieces and everything of that nature. And I'd love to get in there and.
But that's, by the way. So I will tell you my hypothesis, and Jeff and I have talked about this. I also think that when something looks like a really well produced show, which his does, it looks like it could be on CNN or it could be on MSNBC and whatever else. People tend to not realize or not take advantage of tools to join because it feels like something that they're familiar with, that they've seen on TV. Yeah. Whereas when it's something like this, that's more shaky, like this, and looks more intimate, I actually think that as a result, people feel more comfortable and confident to engage. So that's another thing that I really want to continue exploring, which is, is the casual nature kind of more of the way to go? Not unlike how YouTube quickly defined its storytelling paradigm to be distinct from TV. And although people watch music videos on YouTube all the time, the originals that YouTube created for the first bunch of years were intentionally kind of lower tech because it made it feel more approachable, like Lonely Girl and some of the stuff that from kind of the early days of YouTube. I'm really intrigued by that.
Well, and you can ask anybody. For one, I don't like the term show when it's come to, because it has a certain connotation to it, and everybody tries to live up to it. And I'm starting quickly to go against the word influencers,
right?
Because again, it's taken away from. I mean, honestly, now that the mobile app is what it is. And that was another thing I was going to ask is, have you seen an increase since your new mobile app's gone live and it's easy? Well, you can go live from the mobile app because that was one thing that Blab allowed people to do, was be able to go live from the mobile app.
What's your question? Is there an increase? Yeah, so we're seeing that an average user is using the app about 9 or 10 times a week. Whereas the desktop experience is more like 5 or 6 times a week. Right. So we've seen an almost doubling of usage for sure. Although the average time spent on the app is definitely lower than that on desktop, and that's not surprising. Right. And Donna's asking a question about sort of moderation tools, which is a really interesting question because arguably we've done. On Smiletime, including when TMZ has been live on Smiletime for 400 episodes or so, we've been actually very good about creating very safe environments. And so Donna's concern is, well, this thing that I'm talking about, which again you haven't seen yet, so it's difficult to talk about it, and I'm only talking about an abstract sense. Is there a possibility that bad actors or bad humans will show up and start doing bad things? And Donna, I think that is absolutely a possibility that we have to be very mindful of. But I would prefer to try things and have this in mind and have a number of different tools in place to prevent it from happening and seeing what the outcome is rather than not trying. So the
Donna, you can do on your own channels, Donna, you can do that now. Mm-hmm. When you invite somebody into the queue on camera, nobody else can see them until you put them on stage. You are the creator, and you are responsible for everything and in control of everything. So, and
that's very intentional. So the queue, the palette, the ability to see your guest in the palette is something that we talk about all the time, which is we want to prevent. You want to make sure the person is not naked, they're not a Nazi, and also that their video feed is okay, right, Stephen? This is something that this is kind of a quick tip. The reason you can see your guests in the palette is so that you don't put them on if something is wrong. So if you see them in the palette and they don't look right or they don't sound right, you just dismiss them and you tell them, hey, go fix your situation and come back. And so that's why you're seeing on shows like Jeff's and some of the more produced ones, you almost never see blank screens or people with bad connections, because that's why those tools are there. But those are very professional tools that we really like and we're proud of them. We're proud that we've built them. But we also want to play around with more chaos because the internet is kind of built on chaos, and unless you can push the envelope a little bit and then walk it back, it's difficult to know what the ultimate use cases turn out to be. And we have not built the thing that I just described. So this idea of kind of having virtual meetups or virtual live threads, that's really not what Smiletime is today. Smiletime today is much more about, hey, Stephen has a thing that Stephen wants to talk about, or he's got a show scheduled that's Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific, and that's when he goes live, and then it's Stephen's show, and Stephen's in control. And that's fine. But that's not the only thing that we want to be known for. That's still an evolution as opposed to kind of a revolutionary behavior. Whereas this idea of having a virtual Comic-Con on demand and on the spot is something that we really want to explore. And Comic-Con, it's not just the internet. Comic-Con is a chaotic place too, and you have to have a number of tools that are in the background to prevent bad behavior. But I'd rather sort of work on those and build those and try them than not try.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree completely.
Yeah, Donna. So the new alternative may not work, and if it doesn't work, we'll scrap it. So yeah, it's an experiment. We are playing with it. We want to try things, and if we fail in trying, we'd rather fail than not try.
I think that's our motto. We'd rather try a system than
It would be
not.
moderating the hell out of it. We'll be all over it. There'll be literally
Yeah.
somebody watching all the time. So, and as you know, guys, we already do that anyway. I mean, we're constantly checking in to make sure that that our systems are up and running and things go on. And I will say that, you know, having seen many thousands of these, you know, not necessarily been a part of, but participated in, I'm pretty impressed by the caliber of discourse. I don't know how you guys feel. David, you've seen a lot too. I mean, it does tend to be a pretty informed and thoughtful environment, which is you know, something to take pride in.
Yes. Well, I'd agree wholeheartedly. I mean, it's just, and you know, again, I think one of the issues, and it's not a Smiletime thing or a BeLive thing or anything, you know, it's against everybody, is that everybody wants way too polished. Everybody wants, you know, they want to look like they should be on frickin' CNN. That's broadcast television. You're not on broadcast television, but they're afraid of the. They're so concerned over the aesthetics and the way things look and how they're presented and how people will perceive it, that they never focus on, let me go get this person who's an expert
let me engage
in this field and ask them questions and then give people the opportunity to be able to engage with them and everything. And you know, that's why when Guy Kowalski sat there and came across and he was like, this is going to be mainstream. It was either this year or next year. No, I'm sorry. Live streaming's got a long way to go before it becomes mainstream, because we got to get away from the TV portion of it, and that's how a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's so it's funny that you bring that up. So, arguably, one of the things that we do badly is that we make things so polished and slick. Arguably, it's better to have a little bit more chaos and a little bit more sort of noisiness. Like you know, there are online streaming networks that have popped up that just kind of look like a poor produced Bloomberg or not as good MSNBC or Fox News or CNN. And to me, it's like, well, those are also online, so why shouldn't you just watch Bloomberg or CNN or MSNBC? My take is that the goal here is to create a different environment. And the different environment, it's about connection. So those who are really good at connection should be successful, and those who are not good at connection should fail. So I don't know if you guys have seen it, but on Fridays at 4 Pacific, which is 7 Eastern, and I don't know what time it is in the UK, I guess really, really late at night, there is a comedian named John Lair who does a kind of a pop-up thing on Smiletime. And if you check it out, it's kind of interesting because so John has had multiple shows on TV. He had a show on TBS. He was the original Geico caveman. He had a show on Hulu called Quick Draw. The one on TBS was called 10 Items or Less. So big production budgets, big expensive things. He knows what he's doing. And he, I would argue, has embraced from like a professional, he's a professional comedian, obviously. He has embraced the platform much more than kind of the amateur newscasters have, in that he's really casual and he's just sitting there and really pushing to engage with the people who are there. If you watch it, you can watch replays of it. We shared on a Smiletime Facebook channel. You can see that what he's doing is he's just messing around and he's kind of using the audience as props for improv. Mm-hmm. And there's no prepared material. It's all about sort of engaging with the audience. And it doesn't look like any of his stuff looks on TV. So I would say that that's the kind of stuff that's interesting. You know, obviously he's more of a quote unquote talent, but some people are really good at connections much more than they are at performing. And other people are really good at performing. So if you're an actor who likes to be fed lines, you really should not be on this platform because it won't work. You know, you'll just do a crappier version of what you already do on TV, and you might as well just stick with TV.
Right. I can give you a really good example of that would be Gordon Ramsay.
Of which?
He is better. So Gordon Ramsay, if you're not familiar with him, he's a cook, and he's got 8 million freaking shows across the planet that he's done on something. Well, one of the shows that he used to do in the UK was called The F Word. And sure. Of course, America decided, we could bring that over here. So they did. And they twisted it. And they made it a live show. Gordon is not a live individual, and you can tell he's
funny.
not accustomed to it. He's not, he could do with a lot of editing. Now, he may get better over time, but I don't see that the show's going to continue simply because he's not comfortable doing live. And I think that's the whole point that Alex is talking about, is that you can get comfortable doing live. You just have to go live. And if you focus on just going live and being live and dealing and just kind of rolling with everything as it comes along, poor internet connections and the video drops and the audios drop and somebody can't get on and all this type of stuff, eventually you'll get great at it.
Yeah, you make a joke out of it. That's exactly right.
And I didn't in the beginning because I was stuck, but I taught myself. Steven's the same way. You're never going to get good at anything if you don't work on it. Practice. Continually do it.
That's right.
And that's
right. But
thing.
also, not everybody. But and this is part of the reason that we're sort of exploring some of these new features. By the way, Donna, we're not getting rid of the existing stuff. So you can definitely feel free to continue using the existing ecosystem as it exists. In fact, this new thing that we're rolling out is not even platform wide. It's one room. But the point that you're making is a really interesting one, because I also think that most people are not going to be good hosts. And it's just not what they want to be doing. So there's a whole new generation that will emerge that are native to this kind of hosting, that are better, not unlike in the 50s when rock and roll radio first emerged on AM, and a whole new set of DJs were the great rock and roll DJs that were not good at being non-rock and roll DJs. Not unlike how MTV emerged in the 80s, and you had VJs that were these sort of, stoned kids who were in their late teens, and that gave birth to Adam Sandler and a bunch of others, who went on to be kind of the next comedy generation. It's when a new ecosystem emerges, generally you have new talent. On the other hand, in addition to new talent, you also will have new users and new participants. So you'll have maybe you'll have 10,000 new talent, but then you might have 20 million or 40 million people who are native at engaging this way. So maybe they're not the host type, but they're really good contributors, or they're really good at sort of formulating topics that others start debating about. And so I think you'll see a whole environment emerge that's more than just the kinds of people who, quote unquote, go live, but instead it's the kind of people that can engage in a real way. And you're seeing that with Twitch. Twitch is a brand new thing, which is about gamers kind of playing games and broadcasting themselves. Right. And you're seeing a whole generation of people who are native at that. And so Twitch is very specific to the gaming environment. And I think that what we can do if we're successful, and obviously we don't necessarily have to be successful, and if we're not, somebody else might be, but what we're aiming for is to create a new way of engagement that is inclusive of lots and lots of different kinds of people, not just the sort of the host types, which is the live streamers. Just like when rock and roll radio emerged, when MTV emerged, an ecosystem emerged of the MTV generation or the rock and roll, Alan Freed generation, which was much more than just the DJ. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Did I get kicked off?
No, you're still here, David, I hope.
Okay. Okay. It was just Alex blipping in and out.
You're back. You're back.
Possible.
But he's
right
back.
Now.
We see you and hear you. It's just
okay.
Whatever that last word was, it cut you off for me, and I was like, oh. And then I didn't
I'm
hear
still
anything.
here.
You went silent. So you were done.
All right. Well, I got to run, guys. I got to go and work on this new thing, and you'll hear from us as soon as it's ready to go. But I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Brilliant. Well, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your explaining it, and we'll catch you.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us, Alex.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
That's the phrase I was looking for. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. And
I was going to say, after your fiasco with the first attempt for you to go live, I think your nominations got revoked.
Probably. As Kevin pointed out, I need not a mentor, but a mental. Right, to everybody who stayed with us for the last hour and 40 minutes through our adventures I've got to do a close this week, but it's going to be a standard close. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week. This has been David and Stephen.
Look, you try.
If you want to learn about live video, don't go to LVS17. Don't search for it. Don't look for it anywhere. Go. If you don't want to learn about live video, don't come back to the show next week. If you don't want to try out Smiletime's new feature, don't come here tomorrow. I think is that better? No, I want to.
That was a good effort. That was a very good effort.
I need more unscripted practice. Okay.
You need more unscripted practice. You gotta sit there and just goof around on other people's. That's how you get to be good. Is just go on everybody else's streams and be an absolute goof and an ass, and eventually you can be a goof and an ass on your own place. And I'm glad I was able to actually make the tail end of it and have a conversation with Alex and Stephen. I am very proud of the fact that Stephen has been nominated for not one, but 2 categories on the ever prestigious and Who Gives a Crap 2017 Live Streaming Nomination Awards. Maybe he will win. I don't know what he's going to win. Will he fly over and accept? Who knows? You'll have to wait and see. But the only way to get him to do it is to go vote for him, and that starts next Monday. I have no idea where it is you go. And I really don't care. Thanks a lot for being here. My name is David Vaughn. This is Stephen Healy. And again, we love you. You need to go live. Just go live. Just have fun. That's all this is. Bye.
Indeed. Take care, everybody.